Pause, your source for literacy professional development in 3 minutes or less. This week, we continue our conversations on disciplinary literacy. In other words, when students have already mastered the ability to read, when they've already developed intermediate literacy strategies, such as being able to understand vocabulary, reading comprehension, and writing. Then, what happens when they get to your class in high school? And all of a sudden, you're asked to teach them very specialized literacy skills. For example, how to think like a scientist, how to write like an author, how to read like a mathematician, and in general, how do they become these experts in your disciplines? We have a lot of great strategies that we have developed over the years that apply to intermediate literacy strategies. In other words, generic strategies that are helpful for vocabulary no matter what discipline you teach. However, no matter where we get these strategies from or what these strategies are, they were never created with your particular students, your classroom, your beliefs as a teacher, and your discipline in mind. So rather than using these unilaterally across the disciplines, Gillis recommends an approach to disciplinary literacy where we adapt these generalized literacy strategies rather than outright adopting them. She explained in her article that can look like taking a generic way to ensure students are thinking as they read, listen, or engage in an experiment, and turning it into something that's far more complex, rigorous, and represents the valued thinking patterns in the field. So how could we adapt something like the Frayer model? This common strategy is used to teach vocabulary, in which students write a word or term in the center, they paraphrase a definition, give specific facts about it, and provide their own examples or non-examples, either in words or by drawing a picture. This is a research-based best practice, and it does improve students' overall vocabulary comprehension. However, does it match what is valued in your discipline? For example, in the center, instead of having a word or a concept, could you stretch it to include an entire time period, a formula, or maybe even a root word? When we think about the different categories in which we're asking students to respond to on the Frayer Square, does it reflect the specialized literacies in your discipline? For example, if your discipline is science, then description, being able to give characteristics or specific observations, might be more important than being able to give non-examples. If you're in English, then having students be able to identify roots, affixes, or prefixes, or their Latin meanings would be more important than, for example, being able to give non-examples. So no matter what the strategy is that you are given, we never automatically adopt it. Instead, we adapt it. Thanks for pausing.